question is this. The timelessness of social media is something, I mean, I like social media, but the timelessness is something which concerns me. That there is no
The time
end.
sink.
Yeah, I mean, no, that there
Time
is no
suck.
end to it.
There's
I mean,
no end
it's-
to it, yeah.
I mean, it's the internet
Yeah.
broadly, but I think social media is in some ways more addictive.
Sure.
That's one. The second thing is you talked about digital footprint. You talked about the need to be there and for individuals, institutions, and such. And what really bothers me there, and you mentioned privacy in between, that our private lives are lost, right? I mean, you talked about making a mistake. You make a mistake and your private life is exposed. You are somebody remotely famous, your private life is exposed. And it's, you go anywhere, anything you do, somebody is watching, somebody is clicking, somebody is shooting a reel and putting it out there. Now, is this something we have to tell ourselves that this is now a part of our life? There's no escaping it. And the sooner we do it, the better it is for us, right?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you folks think about this? I think the question of privacy is almost gone, at least in a Western context, that it's very hard to have anything private, is how I've seen it. And it's a major problem. But we should get the young people's thoughts on that. So questions, comments, please?
We've talked about everything here that makes makes one successful on social media, whether that's personal or a brand. But what I think is missing here, especially in the Indian context, or maybe just today's context, is the responsibility, the amount of disinformation.
Yes.
And where is our responsibility as social media users? Well, it's two sides of the same coin, maybe. Yes, we've lost privacy. Some of it is in our own hands. You don't have to put everything out there. But what do you do, especially in the Indian context with WhatsApp University, to combat disinformation? And you talked about elections coming up next year, and many other things like that are easily influenced by fake news that is considered gospel truth today.
Yeah, thank you. So really important that we talk about misinformation and disinformation. And when you look at Mark Zuckerberg's tools, right, WhatsApp, and Facebook and Messenger and all of these things, Instagram, that we're really worried about the elections, not just in India, not just in the US, but UK. There are 63 major elections next year, including in places like Indonesia, Bangladesh, etc. And what that will mean for how we use these tools. You've heard the famous statement, that the truth is still putting on its pants when a lie has traveled around the world, right? Meaning that the truth is just slowly getting started by the time the way a lie goes around the world. And we've seen this, especially on WhatsApp. We saw it during the pandemic, when the lockdown, and how much fake information was being circulated on a regular basis. And I know this happens in my family, where somebody will see something and just forward it without even stopping for a second to check whether this could be problematic. And so how do we teach our own family members to fact check before we send out things, right? There are various tools out there that can help you fact check. Boom Live, for example, does a lot of fact checking. But we have to do this. You've seen things that come across in your WhatsApp group, right, that says there were bicycles were invented in India 4,000 years ago. Do you remember this? On WhatsApp, this was circulating. Do you remember seeing this? They said, this is a bicycle. An image was found in a temple. And it's just not true. But they said that it became very popular. So I think we all have a role to play in correcting, questioning the content that we're sending out and what's being shared. Thank you. Another couple of questions?
Do you think that to stop spreading misinformation, stringent laws are required?
You're asking about laws.
Laws, yes.
Laws for that, yeah.
Otherwise, to stop spreading fake news or misinformation.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be efforts to regulate this, but governments have shown all over the world that they fail when dealing with misinformation and disinformation. It is just a fact of life that the people who are creating these tools and creating the fake information are much better equipped than everybody else and are dedicated to spreading this misinformation. And they prey upon us, right? They know what are the things that we will be excited about and then go out and spread it. And that's the problem. So I don't know how much regulation can help or how much government laws can help, because the governments are not often the best at keeping track of these or solving these issues. So I don't know. I'd love to hear any other thoughts on that. Yeah, go ahead. Mike is coming.
Now you said one needs to do fact check. As a consumer of information, to what extent a person can fact check and how reliable are the fact check sites?
Yeah, great question. My rule of thumb is if it's too good to be true or too bad to be true, it probably is. Meaning if it's too wonderful, it's probably not true. And if it's too bad also, it's probably not true. So how do we check that? How do we do it? There are these sites that focus on fact checking, but it's not easy. I totally agree on that it's a lot of work. It's much easier to hit like or forward than take that, put it into Google, see what it says, etc. It's just very hard. My mother, who I told you passed away, she used to forward a lot of health information because she wanted people to be healthy. But some of it was not true. Because it just feels like, you can, there are some shortcuts that you can do. So it's very, very hard and not easy for people to understand that. And by the way, if you're seeing the war in Ukraine, you're seeing the Israel-Gaza war, right? Those are full of misinformation, disinformation, lies, and it's dangerous. That's the problem. Yeah. Hi.
Hi. You put a slide that the scarcest resource is the human attention.
Yeah.
I think there should be one more word added there. The scarcest and the scariest resource.
Very nice.
Because sometimes you have too much of attention. I mean, that's your next slide actually.
Yeah.
What would you recommend for digital detox?
Oh, wow. So, have you ever had a doctor who smokes? Have you ever met a doctor who says, do not smoke, they will tell you, and then they smoke? So I'm like that. I will tell you not to do all these things, but I do them. So I'm not the right person to ask. But I can tell you that for the first time in 25 years, I took 24 hours off my phone and my laptop for the first time about a month ago. And I was having physical symptoms like a drug addict of lose. Just for 24 hours, I didn't use my phone or laptop, and I couldn't work because I wasn't taking a photograph. I was eating my food instead of photographing my food. Oh my God. Who does that? Who just eats their food? They have to be photographing their food, right? So I think detoxing once a week, I did once in 25 years, so again, I'm not the one to ask. But please log off. Please find time with your friends and family to be off your phone. It really makes a difference and might be the thing that saves us.
Hi. So you mentioned that businesses are truly, it's a crucial thing to have, how do I say, impact.
Yeah.
But why do you think it's important for a regular person who doesn't have a brand to have an impact?
Okay, thank you. So that's a very deep question, actually, if you think about it. What I tell people is that the reason to have impact is not because you're trying to change the world necessarily, but you want to have impact in just the work you're doing, right? Everything nowadays is a game of persuasion. How do you persuade people to care about the things you care about? So whether it's your office CSR, for example, in your office, there may be a little budget for CSR. Are they going to give it to cleaning up a park or doing something else? You, as an individual, have a role to play in those kinds of decisions. So even if it's not that you're trying to be famous, you're trying to be influential, but your entire life, you're going to have these encounters where you're persuading somebody to listen to you and listen to your point of view. And that's going to happen no matter what. And that's going to make a difference in your own success for sure. So that's why I encourage you to think about it. But I like your question because that means you're not thinking that that's, we all want to be famous for something, right? Or we want to be online to be famous. There's a Salman Rushdie, the author, says that there was a time when people were famous because they'd done something special. Now people want to be famous because that'll make them feel special. And there's a big difference in the two. So I like your question. Thank you. We have one more question here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You put out a slide there saying that sometimes our work is not just for money, and the privilege, the honor that comes with it is also a very important return. So I work in the positive news field. I have Goa's first and exclusive positive news startup since last 3 years.
What is it called?
It's called livenewsgoa.com. And it came about when I abruptly lost my job in mainstream leading channel of Goa during the COVID pandemic. So anyways, what I wanted to ask you, it's been very hard to get followers because probably people are more curious about the negative stuff, and they follow a lot of platforms which provide negative, horrific, sensational stuff. Even with very poor editing, they get a lot of followers for their videos on YouTube. And I wanted to know whether there's any mechanism where YouTube suggests, recommends some content which may not be, that useful for the society, but those platforms still get a lot of following. Whereas what I'm trying to do is valuable work, sometimes for the privilege and honor and being useful for the society. And I find it very hard that people, don't even give attention. Even the institutions, they are not bothered as such because they also have to be stakeholders in trying to, support people who are going to support the society to evolve in a very informed manner. So what's the way that I can get my content more eyeballs and recommendations on YouTube?
Okay, so first let's get him 50 more followers today, right? Livenewsgoa.com. So everyone.
Goa TV on YouTube.
Goa TV.
Yeah, Live News Goa TV on YouTube.
Okay, but if you just go to.
Actually, I'm quite sure I follow you.
Yeah.
I think I'm quite sure I follow you on Twitter.
Thank you, sir.
and I'm subscribing to you right now.
Thank you, love.
So, couple of interesting things. So I see you're not on Instagram. Is there a reason you're not? Why are you not on Instagram?
I'm not a fan. I am kind of old school, so I don't really enjoy that platform. But I will be interested to collaborate with a very passionate Instagrammer. I can collaborate. I have been open to collaborations.
What do you guys think? Should he be on Instagram? Yeah, that's the number one. So you're getting free consulting right now. So definitely get on Instagram. I think is going to be important. And I'm looking at your work. It's really amazing. You're doing such positive news. Thank you for doing that. Let's all give him an applause. What's your name?
I am Neeraj Prabhu.
Neeraj Prabhu. Okay, everyone say hi to him afterwards. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, Shri, lovely presentation. My question is, I have moved away from posts to reels, So, I love the concept of reels.
And stories, right? And stories.
And stories, yeah. So, but more reels. And I use the same content on Insta and Facebook with the same music. And it's very interesting to see which scores, which gets more hits. It varies, But I have a question. I have moved the same content I'm trying to put on YouTube Shorts. And though I have a YouTube channel, which is doing quite well, the YouTube Shorts is not picking up. I'm a recent entrant into YouTube Shorts. But that same content which is rocking on, say, Insta and Facebook as a reel, the same reel is not doing well on YouTube Shorts.
Anyone have any
I can't
thoughts?
Understand why.
No, it's a good question. Anyone have a thought on that? Why would something that's doing well on IG Reels not do well on Shorts? Anyone have any thoughts on that? Sorry? Hmm. Hmm. So he said it's could be because your YouTube subscribers are expecting longer form, serious content, and now the Shorts thing is new, and they may not be connecting this. So it's very interesting. Anybody else? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the algorithm is not. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anybody else? Do you have a thought? Okay, here's a thought over there. You can just give me.
I would like to know about the data still
Can you?
data being stolen. Like I put up a I put up a content, and as soon as it's put on a site, the same thing gets copied on multiple sites, and even they have a higher rating than what is on my site. So how, like, even like you say it is a news item, okay, and the
So they're stealing your content and putting it on other sites. Oh, terrible.
See, now suppose like the life of a news, say maybe is around 36 hours, okay, and even if you file a complaint with, say, Google or someone, they take a lot of time to sort it out with their copyrights and everything. By the time the news is not of relevance anymore, but I don't get, though it's my content, I don't get the usage that.
Yeah. I mean, these people who steal, they're just
what
pirates. They're just pirates.
They just grab up, like they have.
They're scraping your content and taking it. Yeah, it's horrible. So have you complained? Have you told them?
Complain to Google, complain to everyone, but they take that time and time. By the time, the value of the news is no more.
Yeah, that's amazing. But that means your content is good. I mean, that's the people are taking it.
So
wow.
how?
I mean, apart from, have you gone to the source and talked to these companies?
Yeah, they like.
Or tell them to pay you. Say you're welcome to take my content,
no,
but
they don't, like, even they have these sites where they, even if you complain to a DCMA complaint, there is nothing done to them. And then also they have this the website that hosts this. Even if you complain to them, they like hardly respond to your things because they have just email where you can complain to them, can get to them directly.
So sorry, I'm so sorry.
Any other thing that can be done for such?
Anyone have any ideas what can be done? Anyone have any ideas? Watermarking of content. What about that?
It's just data.
Just the text. Yeah.
Text, yeah. So they
Yeah,
just
it's a
grab,
problem.
snap it up,
It's a problem. Sorry to hear that. Okay, I think we have time for one more question.
I'd
go
just
ahead.
like to ask one question is, you said Facebook is quite an old generation now, maybe my generation. I remember using Orkut and then Facebook came into
Orkut,
picture. So
yeah.
this generation, I believe, is Instagram and the next two particular apps. Attention span is something that we're all dealing with. How do you make an impactful content with respect to shorter version or a long form content? Because that's a dilemma that lots of content creators are dealing. Like he said, that platform is a problem. But then again, if I want to deliver a message, it's a short form or a long form. And do you remember the last good reel or a viral story? Because we are of a generation that we find a lot of difficult challenges to give good content. But a viral song or a Urfi Javed is quite sensational and viral. How do you deal with that?
Wow. No, it's a good question. What do people suggest about this issue? I think it's a fundamental issue for so many content creators. What can we do when people want the short information, right? How do we get them to get deeper? How do we do that? We have young people in the room, so we should ask them, what can we do? How can we reach you, young people? Is it possible to reach you young people with deeper content? Is it possible? They don't want to talk to us. They don't want to tell us the answers. Yeah, we're too old. Yeah, comment in the back or question? Somebody has is it a new question? Are you commenting on this or? Yeah, hold on, just let them answer the question.
I would say might work is, instead of simply trying to reach quote-unquote young people, being more specific about the type of person you want to reach, not just in terms of demographics, but psychometric profile as well. Because I'm friends with a lot of people who watch 5-hour podcasts in one go. So it's not just it's not about, oh, we don't have the attention span. It's that, what you have is not what we want to buy. So catering it more in terms of the type of psychological profile of the type of viewer you want. Am I making sense? Yes, you are. So I would say that try to be more specific in the type of young person you want. Maybe it's somebody who watches a specific kind of TV show or listens to a specific kind of music, but try to hone in on that.
Thank you. Great advice. Thank you for that. But I just want to point out my daughter has just walked in the room. Durga, just wave in the back. Hi, her name is Durga. She has a twin brother who's not here. But yeah, hi. Durga is working on sustainability issues. She's very concerned about the future and environmental issues, so she's working on that.
I think that there is a link between the time a person spends on social media and the likability of how how they'll forward misinformation. So do you think that there's a link? I mean, the greater time you spend on social media, the more likely you are to forward misinformation.
I don't know. I haven't seen that I haven't seen a study on that, but I will just say that we have to be super careful about what we're consuming and what we're sharing. Like everything that we share, we should make sure it's accurate. And I don't think we're doing a good enough job. And next year's elections are just an example. It's not just the election time, right? I mean, we saw, as I said, during the pandemic, how much misinformation. You're a public health person. I mean, what do you tell people about public health?
Well, interestingly, one of the things we did during the lockdown was Vikram Patel, a professor of mental health currently at Harvard Medical School. He happened to be in Goa at that time, and we actually did a session here. It wasn't live, but we put it out there. And some of the things that he talked about, I mean, I'll send you a link of that 1 hour conversation. It was exactly how it played out. I mean, what I was surprised by, months later was that he said, look, these are not the things that need to be done. This needs to be done. I don't remember the details, but sure. The point is people who were in the public health sector, broadly speaking, and he's an expert on mental health, were pretty much able to see what society, how the public would react, what governments would do or would not do, and it just played out more or less that way. So that was one of my most remarkable experiences for the pandemic. Talking to somebody, it was I think early June. So everything was in a lockdown. He was able to come here, and we just made a recording. I don't think enough people have watched it, and that's why maybe I'm also mentioning it now. But listen to that discussion.
Okay. So, thank you.
Hi again. So I'd just like to share this. It's not really a question, but it's something many of you have mentioned here, many creators, saying that keeping content short is an issue you're facing. However, I'd like to think that keeping content short is also a solution to the new generation. Because your content is short and precise, you've got me hooked, wanting more, bringing me to your page, bringing me searching for more reels, searching for more information on you. So I'd like to say, even though you may have a lot of good content that you want to put out in one go, maybe just put it out in bits, because that will keep me hooked for a longer time. So that's just my feedback as a consumer of content.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. That's great advice. Any other advice from, there are a lot of content creators here, but I think hearing like that from a content consumer is really interesting. Anybody else want to suggest anything? We're open.
Actually, I would like to add a little bit to that. It's, for one of the things that academics do is write books and write journal articles, which very few people read, relatively speaking. I mean, actually, very few people read it. So one of the things that many contemporary academics do, and there are now platforms which allow you to do that. So let's say I'm doing research on, contemporary Goan art, for example, right? And I take various forms. So I might end up writing a book, but that's going to take me 5 years, right, to get everything together. I might also write a journal article, which will take me less time, but by the time it's published, it's still 3 years away, 4 years away. So what people have started to do is, on various aspects of the book that I'm writing, I break it up and I write shorter pieces. So it can be part of, it can be published by an online magazine, newspaper, journal, etc. And so when you talked about short content and I want something more, so that something more doesn't happen immediately. That something more takes time. So I don't know how it works on digital media, but for the print people who are into the written word, for them it has to be different formats. So somebody who doesn't like to read a full book can read in 1,000 words, 1,500 words, more or less what you have to say. And if I'm interested, I'll have to wait for the book, of course, right?
So I'll just wrap up by sharing a couple of thoughts. The first is that we're in a very unusual moment in history where we're already complaining about misinformation, disinformation, and the AI revolution has just started. So imagine what's going to happen with fake content at the scale at which it's coming. We're seeing, for example, it's so easy now to have, with just a little bit of Pushkar's audio, I can have him say anything for an hour, right? I can type up something and in his voice, publish it globally. That's coming, that's already here. Video, fake audio. And at the scale at which it's going to happen is going to do great damage to society. So, we will look back at all the AI, all the things happening in social media in 2023 and say that's nothing compared to where it's going. And that's really worrisome, I think, in what we do. The second is we talked about human attention, and you gave me, more than almost 2 hours of your attention, and I'm super, super grateful to all of you. I hope you'll keep in touch. If I can help you with anything, I'd be delighted. Thank you very much, everybody, and see you soon. Thanks.
आज गोंयांत डिझेलाच्या धुंवराक लागून कितलेशेच प्रदूषण वाडलां. हवेंत वाडलेल्या कार्बनाक लागून लोकांक श्वास घेवपाक त्रास जाता. अरे डिस्टर्ब करू नाका रे, राम असो. जशे व्हडल्या व्हडल्या शहरांनी प्रदूषणाचो लेवल वाडला तशी दुयेंसांय वाडल्या. अशीच परिस्थिती आमच्या गोंयांतूय येतली काय असो सगळ्यांक भंय पडला. अरे बस येता. अरे बस येतली जाल्यार गोंग 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 करून आवाज करतली. पेरे 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 करून हॉर्न मारतली. कळ्ळें मरे? हे कितें रे? आवाज ना तो ना, हुंगरय ना. कसलो चमत्कार?
चमत्कार न्ही, गोंय सरकार पोल्युशन फ्री इको फ्रेंडली इलेक्ट्रिक बसेस धांवतात गोंयच्या रस्त्यार.
कदंबा ट्रान्सपोर्ट कॉर्पोरेशनाच्यो ई बसीस विथ फुल्ली एअर कंडिशन, 40 सिटिंग कॅपॅसिटी, USB सॉकेट्स, रिजनरेटिव्ह ब्रेकिंग सिस्टम आणि प्रवाशांच्या सुरक्षे खातीर एमर्जन्सी बटन.
कदंबा बसी आमकां जितल्यो फॅसिलिटीज दितात तितल्योच फॅसिलिटीज माझी बस ह्या स्किमी अंतर्गत जवळ जवळ 25 प्रायव्हेट बसी आमकां दितात. म्हणजे स्टुडंट्सांक कन्सेशन, सिनियर सिटीजन्सांक कन्सेशन आणि कॅन्सर पेशंट्सांक फ्री ट्रॅव्हल. इतलेंच न्ही, प्रायव्हेट बस ओनराक सुद्दां ह्या स्किमींतल्यान खूब आदार मेळटा. आ करून कितें पळयता, आतां उलय.
आता किती उलो? भिवपाची सोड, आता उलोवपाची गरज ना.
शुद्ध श्वास, आरोग्यदायी प्रवास, आरोग्याची हमी गोंय सरकार पडचो ना खंयच कमी.